Today, we're going to be walking through the CentralReach practice management platform. So, we're going to be talking about things such as your scheduling, billing and claims, how you manage your contacts here at CentralReach. So, as you can see here, obviously, again, I'm your host today, Sarah Jackson, the National Director of Sales here at CentralReach. I'll be sending out my contact information at the end of the session as well. Throughout, I will try to answer questions whenever I can, but if there's something we don't get to today, I will be happy to certainly reach out to any of you one-on-one to address those questions afterwards. So let's go ahead and jump in. Again, thanks for joining. If you have questions, feel free to send them my way throughout the presentation. So what we're going to be talking today again is the CentralReach practice management platform. So really that's the foundation of running your practice and running your business, managing everything from your contacts, your client intake process, that employee onboarding, which always is a challenge, our custom notes and forms, which allows you to literally take your current intake forms, your evaluation templates, your reporting, any insurance forms that are pertinent to your business, and having the ability to create those and customize those in CentralReach. Next, obviously, a major component again of running a practice, managing your schedule. And lastly, we'll certainly do a walkthrough today on billing, converting those timesheets or rendered appointments from the schedule over to billing, claims processing using the ERA or that clearinghouse here with CentralReach, and managing your payroll as well, creating a custom export of your timesheets and that data that you can upload to a third-party payroll company or service such as an ADP. So we'll get to some of that. But again, quick overview. One thing I wanted to touch on though before we jumped in today was just a couple high-level updates, recent things, what's new here at CentralReach. One very exciting aspect of that just launched here in the last couple weeks is version 2 of CRGO, which is our mobile application. So the mobile application really helpful in giving your clinicians the information they need when they need it. So it gives them the option again, so whether they're in office using a web browser or now certainly out in the field in those in-home visits or in-school visits, to be able to get their schedules, manage their schedule. They can also chat via our HIPAA compliant messaging tools. Seems to be one of the biggest breaches a lot of times when we have clinicians out in the field is using a personal device. This tracks all of those messages with their team and your practice. Another great feature of that mobile app is going to be offline data collection. So as we all know, it can be very spotty on in-home and in-school visits on having that Wi-Fi connection. With this new version of our mobile application, that's going to allow you to work offline and then upload that data and any information that was gathered from a clinical standpoint once you're able to reconnect to your Wi-Fi after that session. Another nice feature, collecting those electronic signatures if that's something that you do for your practice. Also a nice checks and balance on being able to really see where your team is out in the field. Are they on time to those appointments as they can check in and check out as well. One other extremely exciting thing for us here at CentralReach is also bringing Chartlytics into our family. So even accelerating further our current capabilities on the data collection side for ABA is bringing in the precision teaching elements of Chartlytics, which we're in the process of working through the details on that integration. But again, Chartlytics has now joined the CentralReach family, and we're very excited about the additional capabilities and empowering of clinicians that these additional tools are going to bring. So again, the mobile app, a huge update, and certainly Chartlytics, a very exciting update for us here as well. So let's go ahead now. I'm going to share my screen. Let's go ahead and start diving into that CentralReach platform. So what we're seeing here first and foremost, this is going to be our dashboard. So the dashboard is going to be specific to each user as they log in with their own unique login to the CentralReach platform. So what that's going to allow you to do here on the back end is through permissions set up either via job role or by individual, who can see what and who has access to do what here within the CentralReach system. So keep in mind for the presentation today, we are in an admin view. So basically we're going to be seeing everything across the practice, but these widgets are movable and customizable for again, that individual, whether it be an RBT, an OT, a speech therapist, that when they log in, it's just going to be the information specific for them, the clients that they're working with, and for their specific job roles. So just touching on some high level aspects of what you can see here on this dashboard when you log in. It's going to be everything from your activity and call logs, our task manager, a really nice feature allowing you almost like an electronic to-do list to sign out tasks across your practice with due dates. With files with CentralReach, everything is going to be unlimited and kept HIPAA compliant. So all of your files, whether it be your authorizations, any type of billing, claims information, client information, or certainly clinical documentation, can be kept unlimited here at CentralReach and always kept HIPAA compliant. A nice thing kind of going hand in hand with that is our document manager. Again, to getting back to that client intake process or employee onboarding, what that allows you to do is create a batch of documents which can be required or recommended to be uploaded directly here to the CentralReach system. Practices I work with love this tool, again, for managing, keeping up with credentials, keeping up with those client intake, and really automating that process by allowing your users, whether it be your clients via the client portal or your staff through their login, to upload all of those important documents right here to CentralReach. Timesheets will be jumping in a minute here from the schedule. Again, that ability to convert those appointments from the schedule over to billable entries. Next thing is our messaging tools. We have two HIPAA compliant messaging tools here at CentralReach. The first being an internal email tool that you can actually send HIPAA compliant messaging across your staff. Basically, once somebody's logged in, the ability to share those messages, again, keeping that all behind the scenes and documented. And the second I touched on before is Reach Me, or that instant messaging tool, which allows your clinicians, whether in office or out in the field, to send a message to one individual or to your clinical team, again, keeping all of that data safe and recorded. So with CentralReach, when we talk about learning trees and sessions, the learning trees are going to be that traditional binder, that program book, and the sessions are really where your RBTs live in regards to pulling down those goals and running those trials one-on-one with your clients, graphing that data up to your BCBAs for their documentation as well. If the clinical side of the house or that data collection is your primary interest, I would definitely encourage you to join us on Thursdays, similar format at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where Greg Paquette, one of our BCBAs here on staff, will walk through all of the details of how you can set those goals and create those specific program books on the clinical side. So just that quick overview of the dashboard, lots of information that can be kept here. Again, going to be customizable to that specific individual's view. The next place we're going to jump here, first of all, you'll see all of these widgets here across the top. So these are going to be what we call all the different modules within CentralReach. So the nice thing is when practices come on with CentralReach or we're looking into our solution, we are going to be basically charging you per user license or per individual who needs access to CentralReach. So those licenses, again, are charged per individual or user within your practice that needs access, whether it be from billing or your clinicians out in the field collecting that data. We're never going to be charging you per client, so it's very, very easy to determine those fixed costs upfront without any surprises on the back end or penalizing you for growing your practice and adding those clients on. So the first place we're going to jump here again in that practice management side, obviously super important, is managing your contacts. So with contacts, you can see I can jump here to view everyone, network providers perhaps that you work with, your employees or your clients. Let's just go ahead and jump in though and take a nice general view of managing our contacts here. So again, with this list that we're looking at, this is going to show us all the contacts we have within our specific system. But one tool that we give you that makes it really, really easy to manage your contacts throughout the CentralReach platform are the labels that you can see me expanding here on the left-hand side. With the labels, these are going to be completely customizable. Really, really nice for tracking each specific employee, perhaps their credentials, if they're full time or part time, maybe even if they manage intense behaviors. However, you want to use these, the key is with these labels is when we get to our schedule, if I just want to really, really search down by those specific clinicians or BCBAs that meet those requirements, the labels really make it easy to find the information that you need quickly and to manage your employees as well as manage your clients as well. So perhaps that client intake process, if you want to check off as you go through, as they go through your specific process, what those labels will allow us to do then is if I just want to see in my client intake, those specific individuals in the assessment phase, because I've labeled them, it pulls up that group. And anywhere within CentralReach, we see this cloud here on the top right-hand side. I know I can actually export this information directly into a report from CentralReach. So lots of options there. Again, those labels really, really break it down, make it easier for you to manage your specific clients as well as your staff as well. Let's go ahead though and jump in and take a quick look at the face page for our client here, Alan Hahn. You can see everything on this page is going to be specific to this client. So everything from a quick billing overview, any notes and forms that we've created that are specific for Alan, his authorizations that are currently active here in the system, his payer information, whether that be primary and secondary, however you're tracking that specific insurance information, any files that have been added, his upcoming appointments, and of course, in the clinical side, his specific program book is down here as well. I know I touched on this before. With your user licenses with CentralReach, you're also going to get access to create unlimited client portal accounts as well. So just as your staff is logging into the CentralReach system, you can create accounts for your clients and the families as well, and they can do quite a few things with those accounts. First of all, they could view HIPAA compliant messaging from your staff. Secondly, they could view any files that perhaps you want to post. Maybe it's something specific from that child's session, any of those files that you wish to share. Next is the ability to view invoices and now pay invoices as well via that client portal using a credit card. And then obviously another important component of that is the schedule, allowing through the client portal for families to schedule, cancel, and request changes to the calendar and to their appointments. And that can be set up with both email and text notification to your family and to your staff as well. One thing to note on our client portal accounts, that's completely up to you how you use them. Many practices might use components of that. A lot are really seeing a nice synergy of using a lot of these features to better communicate with the families, but that's going to be just with the permissions with your staff, up to you and what you decide to share and how you use those client portal accounts. Next place we'll jump in though here is a quick view of one of our staff members here. Example here is Alexandria, one of our BCBAs. And as you can see again, with this face page for Alexandria, everything here is going to be specific for her workday, her responsibilities, and the clients that she's working with. So you can see this is everything from her specific upcoming appointments, timesheets that she needs to convert over from the schedule. Again, that appointments occurred, she's taken her note and converted that to billing. Notes and forms, very, very important area that gives a lot of flexibility here within the CentralReach platform. While we were kind of started on the ABA side of the house and started, the company was started by a BCBA. In the last few years, we've seen more and more of a need for practices like all of yours to be able to create the forms that you need. Maybe because you're a multidiscipline practice, you need a SOAP note and you need specific way to document information for your OTs versus the ABA side of the house. Any of those notes and forms can be created here right within CentralReach. So let me just show you a couple different examples of that. Here's an example of just a behavior intervention plan. Again, we're going to have a ton of templates that you can use and customize here at CentralReach, but you can also take those intake forms or any of your specific forms and build those out here in the system as well. And you have unlimited access to create whatever notes and forms that you may need. The nice thing is with our clinical training that we're going to provide you with during your onboarding process, we're going to teach you how to build out these specific notes and forms here within CentralReach. And what you can see here with these grayed out fields, we can create these since all of your client information, your payer information, and your provider information is here within our single source system. You can actually add fields to go ahead and auto-populate that information that you want directly from CentralReach. So all your staff does is goes out, completes that note and form, which saves to the client file, to their file, as well as to your file cabinet up here. Another example, again, just a basic SOAP note. Again, so if you're a multidiscipline practice and you have the specific format for your speech group or SOAP note format, that can be brought in here as well. And again, to auto-populate our provider, our client information directly here to this form. And one last example, we all know that each state has different Medicaid forms or requirements for insurance. We're in the process of building out some of these insurance forms here in the system, but as you can see, very, very extensive. And the main thing being, a main takeaway on that is the forms that you need can be integrated, gathering those electronic signatures from your clients as well as from your providers right here within the CentralReach system, and can be saved directly back to your client and employee files. You can see also here, we've got just the specific program books or clinical information with Alexandria and the clients that she's working with. So you can actually set it up to just connect your clinicians to the clients that they're specifically working with. Our clinicians in the field, especially using that new mobile app, love our My Agenda view. So this is just going to show Alexandria who specifically she's working with that day. Again, any timesheets she might need to convert from the schedule, her appointments, and then again, any of that clinical information or those program books for her specific clients. So again, very customizable in how you set up the information that your staff might see. Another nice tool, though, touching a little bit on those notes and forms again, is everyone, obviously, the client intake process can be quite a challenge. So just wanted to show you quickly here, you're going to have the ability to create whatever custom notes and forms specifically that you need to here within the CentralReach system. And we can actually embed a link out on your website. So once, let's say, an interested family comes to your website, they fill out that client intake package, you can actually have this go directly into and labeled into your CentralReach account, streamlining that process from your website and putting, again, that new client labeled maybe as needs verification or to contact, and all of those filled out forms directly back into your CentralReach account. So lots of options here with your contacts through the labels, through those contact forms, those customizable notes and forms to really decide how you, with your specific process, your policy, and your workflow, how you can best work and maximize your productivity here in CentralReach. The next thing we'll touch on, obviously, we talked about those two HIPAA compliant messaging tools. We've talked about a little bit here about those unlimited files, always keeping your information HIPAA compliant with CentralReach. A nice feature here as well, though, is the authorization templates. Practices are constantly coming to us with the challenge of managing and maximizing on those authorizations, not only for clinical care, but to grow their business as well. So the authorization templates, that's going to allow you to, if you're working with, let's say, United Healthcare, with Blue Cross Blue Shield, whoever those private payers may be in your specific state, you can create those authorization templates to even make it faster as you're bringing in new clients into your practice. Another nice feature we've added is the ability to actually mirror the authorizations. So let's say that Alan, we were just looking at, perhaps his authorization with United Healthcare is coming up. We can just go in, mirror the authorization in, update those dates, and save it to the system. So again, lots of ways to speed up your workflows and just to be more productive and have a better overall vision of how we're working those authorizations. So with that, I want to show you one of my favorite reports here before we go ahead and jump into that schedule, and that's our authorization report. So what we're seeing here, this is going to be all of the authorizations that we have for our clients within our practice. You can see here that I could be searching by a specific individual. I could be searching by a provider, by us, maybe even viewing this by hours, units, or visits. Lots of options on how you can customize this report. But what it's going to show us here is really the key is these last four columns. When you set up your clients in CentralReach, you set up those authorizations and those service codes, You're then going to tie your providers or your staff to basically the service codes that they're eligible to work with. And with that, when you schedule appointments, you can pull those authorizations directly into the schedule. That's what's going to give us this real-time report here in these last 4 columns that are going to show us the appointments that have occurred or those worked hours towards the authorization. Pending hours would be any of those appointments on our current schedule that have not occurred yet. The remaining hours are any of those hours we just have not booked yet towards the authorization or no appointments are currently pending. And a nice feature too is our utilization rates. So again, from a clinical standpoint, obviously all of you, your primary goal is to help and get the therapy that you need for your clients and for those families. So from a clinical standpoint, let's say if Trey here has 40 hours remaining, great time for us to reach out to mom and dad and get that therapy schedule that he obviously needs. But also from a business standpoint, a lot of groups that we work with will watch these utilization rates. If the utilization rates are low and your staff's maxed out, then you're going to know from a business standpoint, you can go ahead and add that additional RBT, that OT, or that speech therapist because you have those hours covered under your current authorizations. Another nice feature here, we've talked about labels, but there's also going to be the ability to create custom filters here on your reports as well. So with this specific authorization report, if I just want to see who's 50% utilized or less, or maybe I want to see who's expiring within the next 14 days, using our filters here, and you can create your own as well, I can just get that information that I need quickly. And again, this is information that I could directly export out of CentralReach into a report as well. So again, this authorization report, probably one of my favorite tools from a business standpoint and a clinical standpoint of getting your clients the best possible care, maximizing those authorizations, and always having an eye on your business and growing your practice as well. So let's go ahead and we're going to jump over here. Probably, again, one of the biggest pain points of running the practice, and that's looking at our schedule. We've got quite a few different views here within the schedule, so I'll kind of touch on a few of those areas as we go. Our first view is basically kind of that Google Calendar view. So what we could be doing here is pulling up a specific client. Let's go ahead and pull Alan again, who we were looking at before. And then I would be able to actually also add that layer. Maybe I want to see Alexandria, our clinician that we just looked at before. So it's going to pull in all of the appointments for these 2 individuals. Again, I also could use my labels. Maybe I wanted to see my BCBAs by location 1 or my RBTs who are working in school settings. You can use those labels to pull up those calendars here. Now, what we're seeing here in dark green is going to be Alan's availability, and Alexandria's here in the light green. So it's showing me their availability. So I could use this specific calendar view to go ahead and match up that clinician with the open times for my client. One thing that's often asked as well is, what about those different views with this current schedule? You could see here, I could just look at my day view. I could look at my month view or a list view. Another nice thing, if I go ahead and look at my planner view, this is going to allow me to see where all of my staff is on that specific day. So again, giving you a nice admin type of screenshot of your current schedule. So lots of different views in how you're scheduling those appointments and managing those appointments. Let me go back to my week view here. A couple other things to note too, if you are a group that likes to print out your schedules, or perhaps you want to email those schedules out to your staff and your clients, you'll have the ability to do that here. Another really nice tool is also, if let's say you have clinicians that are part-time or are managing multiple calendars, they can also, in a HIPAA compliant manner, sync the CentralReach calendar to their Gmail account, to Outlook, and to iCal as well. Another nice feature of that calendar. In addition, if let's say they're going to be offline for the day, they have the ability to view that schedule offline as well. So again, back to those authorizations here, you can see it gives me a really nice snapshot of my appointments from an admin viewpoint for the week that I have with my authorized versus unauthorized hours. So very, very simple. If we want to create that new appointment, we just go ahead, grab our clinician in here. You can see, obviously, from a clinical standpoint, very important if we want to create those reoccurring appointments that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, when we're seeing that child, very easy for us to create those here. I'll go ahead and pull Alan back here into creating this appointment. You have additional fields here and options if you want to create appointment types or even create your own event labels here within the schedule. You have that option as well. Practices that I work with might use these event labels for room 1, room 2, if it's in a clinical standpoint, or perhaps it's your supervision appointments versus your direct therapy. So lots of options, again, giving you the ability here within the schedule to create those labels for auditing and for your reporting as well. You're going to be able to note your place of service, obviously required for most insurance companies. And if you're compensating your staff for their mileage, that's something that can be documented here as well, and will be able to be tracked upcoming with the GPS feature in our application. But again, because I have Alexandria connected here to work with Alan, I have them both set up in regards to the authorizations, the service codes, those fee schedules with how I'm going to pay my staff. This is going to show me here at the appointment as I schedule it, which authorizations are actually valid and I'm able to use for this specific appointment for this clinician and this client. You can even see, I can see a quick snapshot here of even those, again, utilization rates on that specific authorization as I'm scheduling my appointment. So really simple in scheduling the appointments, but also really, really nice in tying the authorizations in at the appointment level to prevent your practice from overbilling. So we will be jumping back here in a minute so I can show you how easy it is to convert that appointment from the schedule over to billing. One thing I wanted to show you though before we move on is you can see the visual indicator of the appointments here that are striped on our calendar. That's going to let us know that this is an appointment that has already occurred. Our staff member's gone out, they've had the appointment and converted that to billing. So just a nice admin tool here. That's what we're seeing here with these striped out appointments. Couple other views here I wanted to highlight before, again, we convert over an appointment and get more into that billing side. I'm going to go ahead and use my BCBA label to just go ahead and pull up my specific staff members. So you can see here now we are in a day planner view. So all of our staff members here are listed on the left-hand side. Again, I used my label. I could also be pulling in all staff, just depending on what you want to see within this specific view. The really, really nice thing is again, our staff's listed on the left-hand side. What we're seeing here in green is their availability. So we all know working with families, working with kids, and just running any type of business, there's always those last minute changes that happen to our schedule. That's really where the day planner is so useful. So being able to go ahead and drag and drop appointments. Let's say that Alexandria here is caught in traffic. She's unable to make her appointment. I can just go ahead and drag and drop that to additional or to another clinician. And then it allows me, as you can see here, to go ahead and document the reason for that change, again, from a reporting standpoint, so you can go back and view and really have a better understanding of why those changes are occurring in your schedule. So again, the day planner view, that drag and drop, those last minute changes becomes a really, really useful view here within the schedule. The next thing, again, once you're trying to kind of figure out and match up, maybe it's somebody that calls into the practice, or maybe it's somebody who needs a specific day and time and type of appointment. That's really what we can do here with our Find a Provider tool. So if we have a family that calls in, or maybe we're working and creating that summer schedule, and they're looking for an appointment between noon and 3, let's say a 2-hour appointment on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I can put in these search criteria. I could also even be very, very specific. So maybe it's a male versus female therapist. Maybe it's a specific age group that my clinician works with. Maybe it's adolescents versus adults. Even it's as specific as it's an English versus Spanish speaking therapist, you create the parameters here. And because all of my staff's credentials, all of their availability is set up in the system, all I have to do is run my search with these criteria, and it's going to show me all of my clinical staff that's available between noon and 3, 2-hour for a 2-hour appointment on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and I could go ahead and book directly from here. Now, keep in mind also, I could actually add additional layers of search on this. So maybe I just want to see the RBTs that are available. Or maybe I want to search by zip code. And what that'll do is actually then list your clinicians from who would be closest to that zip code to furthest away. So a lot of really advanced tools within this Find a Provider tool to make it really easy to match up your clients with the specific credentials and availability of your staff. Now, history and obviously auditing and attendance becomes really important for practices as well. That's where I'll just show you on a high level too here, our view as a grid. So view as a grid, I think every scheduling admin's dream in the sense that it's going to show you overall all of those appointments scheduled for your practice. This is where using our filters here too, back to those modifications or cancellation reasons. Maybe it's attendance tracking, if that's something you're tracking for your school or for your practice. Maybe you just want to view those overlapping appointments, those supervision appointments with your BCBAs and your RBTs. That can all be done. Custom fields created here to pull the reports that you need specifically from your schedule. So if you're looking at, who's just canceled their appointments, you want to search for a specific date range. Maybe I want to search by a specific client. You really have the ability to customize and drill very, very deeply and audit your schedule here from our view as a grid. So a lot of practices might even just be searching for billable hours versus non-billable hours. All of that can be set up and again, exported into a report directly from CentralReach using our view as a grid view here on your schedule. Now, keep in mind, I'm not fully doing this justice as we actually have done an hour webinar just specifically on all of the searches and tools for this specific view. But again, keeping in mind you're a very data-driven audience here, it's always nice to show at least at a high level all of the reporting and capability you have here in our view as a grid of really, really getting that snapshot of your schedule for your practice. One thing to note though, before we move on, you could see here, this is where it's also going to show me from a billing side of the house that it looks like my staff has not been out converting those appointments over to billing. So a lot of groups we'll work with will come check this view as a grid, send out a quick task to the staff to say, hey, can everyone please convert those timesheets? We're going to be pulling billing next Friday. So it ends up being a really nice billing tool here as well, as we have this nice visual indicator of who has and has not converted those appointments. So with that, let's go ahead and jump back to that schedule and let me show you how easy it is for your staff, again, whether in office or out in the field, to go ahead and convert those appointments from the schedule over to billing. Now, a couple different things to keep in mind and questions that come up when we're converting the appointments. Is that for the claims side or is that for payroll and for paying your staff? And the answer is it really is for both. Because your fee schedules and all of your pay information for your staff is here at CentralReach, we're going to be able to pull those timesheets and that specific information, as I mentioned before, which can be exported into a payroll report, which you can upload to an ADP or a payroll service provider. But this is also going to convert this appointment in this one step over for us from a practice billing standpoint as well. So I'll show you kind of as we walk through that process, but just something to keep in mind. So again, let's say that this appointment's occurred here with Alan and Alexandria. You could see I just could have clicked on that lightning bolt to even make the process faster, but here's our information here. We could look at those full details, but what we're going to do from this screen is go ahead and create that timesheet. So all my clinician has to do is convert all to timesheets. Again, we're rendering that this appointment has occurred from the schedule. We had that appointment. And all Alexandria is going to have to do here is double check on the time and the hours the appointment has been worked, add any of that mileage information if that's something that you're compensating your staff for. I don't have any practices that usually include their pay rates here, but again, these fields can be removed depending on your specific needs. So once Alexandra verifies the appointment's occurred, it's afterwards, she can go ahead and jot down a note. She can upload a file specific to that appointment. But the really, really nice thing is, again, back to those notes and forms that I mentioned before, you have the ability to actually create a session note or an insurance form that might be required and actually add that note and form directly into your clinician's timesheet. So again, one of the biggest challenges that practices come to us with is chasing down that clinical information, that insurance information, that documentation. With CentralReach, you have the ability to actually not only embed the note and form in the timesheet, you can also make this required. So Alexandria has to fill out whatever clinical data you need to collect before she signs off and converts this appointment from our schedule over to billing. So again, very easy, can be done through that mobile application in Office via web browser. but just documenting basically the appointments occurred, notifying billing and payroll potentially that this is now a billable entry. So that's where we're going to jump again from our schedule now over to billing and timesheets. So let's take a look at what those timesheets look like first and foremost. Again, our clinicians had the appointment, they've taken the note. This is going to be all of that information specific for the fee schedules and basically obviously how we pay our employees here. You can see from an admin standpoint, if you needed to make updates on the timesheets, if you wanted to view those files, you could do that from this specific screen. And then there's going to be the ability to create your specific payroll schedule. So if you basically are pulling payroll every other week, whether you have full-time staff or part-time staff, how you pay them, all of that's going to be set up here on the back end in your fee schedules as we help you create during your implementation process your service codes, who's paid what for what specific service codes. So all of that information set up on the back end. And then all of that data is documented then from the scheduled appointment converted over to your timesheets. So we can definitely, again, dive in more into details specifically on payroll and those exports. Feel free to reach out to me directly after our discussion today. But let's go ahead and really look then from our billing standpoint. Let's go ahead and get a broader view here on managing your billing here with CentralReach. So there's a ton of things that you can do just from this specific screen. Again, we're viewing all of those billable entries, those appointments that have occurred here. You could see I could jump up here, I could search by a specific client, I could be using specific billing labels that you create, I could be searching by service code, by insurance company, by location. But just for the sake of our discussion today, I'll go ahead and select a couple items. Again, how you bill is completely up to you and how you use the specific billing functionality. We have a lot of different ways that groups work with CentralReach on the billing side. So perhaps smaller practices that just want to pull this billing and claim information and directly export onto those CMS 1500 or 837 reports. You also have a lot of companies that might have a third-party billing company. So maybe they're exporting the information and handing that off to that third-party biller, or perhaps even getting their third-party billing company access to a license with CentralReach. And then probably one of the most streamlined ways that the majority of our practices will use our platform is going ahead, selecting the items, merging the claims, and sending them out through a clearinghouse. And then all of that data comes back here in real time in CentralReach for all of your clients and all of your payers here in one place. So we will definitely walk through that process here in a minute. But I want to show you a couple other functions here from this screen. And again, very high level. I'll send a link out at the end of the session. We had a recent webinar with our billing expert, Adam Sellers, that walks through a lot of that kind of back end detail, the ins and outs of billing with CR. So I'll be happy to send that out and share that with all of you as well. But on this high level from a billing standpoint, from this screen, we can go ahead and bulk apply payments. We can also bulk generate invoices. Now with CentralReach, super easy again, since all of your information's here, single source, all on one platform, kept HIPAA compliant. Creating your invoices is super easy. You have 4 different options: a provider invoice, a copay, a client, or just a basic activity statement you can create to just show mom and dad an overall view of that child's program. I can also from the screen go ahead and print statements. I could apply copays across a series of appointments. Another nice feature here, again, if your practice, your state, your insurance companies you work with require those signatures, I could also bulk request signatures across a series of appointments, either from my providers or from my clients. But let's go ahead again and jump through and walk through quickly that process if we wanted to go ahead and bulk merge our claims. So I've selected my items here. Again, you can decide how you pull your specific billing. I'm going to go ahead and bulk merge my claims. So it looks like I've got some errors here, but we'll just walk through from a demo standpoint so I can show you how this works. If I select an item and I want to go ahead and bulk merge those claims, what's going to happen is CentralReach is going to take an initial scrub on your data. So we're going to be looking here, is there any information that we can find that you're missing on that specific claim? Maybe it's the insurance, the information on mom and dad on that insurance, contact information. We're going to take that initial scrub here if we start our claims generation just to see if there's any information that we have found that you're missing before you submit your claims. You can see I can go ahead and jump to that specific claim number. But what this is really going to do is this is taking us out of our billing and timesheets module over into that claims manager. So the claims manager is going to show us any of those claims that we've gone ahead. We've done that initial bulk merge on our claims. You can see here that this is where we could go ahead and export those out on those CMS 1500 forms. But one of the first things you're going to notice here are these red numbers here on the right-hand side. And that's where it's showing us that, again, CentralReach has found those errors in the claim. If we go ahead and hit edit, we just follow that red number directly back, and we're going to show you within that specific claim. It looks like in our patient information, we were missing some data. So you can go ahead and upload and complete this information that's missing, save that claim, obviously then improving your chances of getting these back, getting paid quicker, and not having challenges as you submit to your payers. So if I could just select a couple items here, or I could select them all, again, depending on your specific cycle that you process your billing, this is where, again, I could export onto my CMS 1500s, or this is where I could go ahead directly from your CentralReach account and send these to the gateway. So we predominantly work with Office Ally. We've had a lot of success with them, and they actually have a really broad number of payers that they work with within each state. So basically, there are other companies that we do work with as well, though, so feel free to reach out if there's another company or clearinghouse you currently work with. We're going to go ahead again and take your claims, HIPAA compliant from CentralReach, send them through that clearinghouse or gateway. They're going to take that additional scrub on that data and then send it out to your payers. And then all of that information, those reconciliations, and all of that data is going to come back to you all in CentralReach in real time back into your ERA list. So let's just pull up an example report of that. Keep in mind, not a ton of data on this sample report, but you'll certainly get the idea of the information that you can get back on as many clients as you're working with, or payers certainly that you're working with as well. Just taking a second here to go ahead and load up that ERA. But the ERA is going to show you any adjustments, any reasons for those adjustments. If there's any additional copays or amounts or patient responsibilities left, then we can go back and create those copay invoices, which we could post out to those client portal accounts. This is also a nice feature that we do have, that you can set it up that maybe it pings the primary insurance first and then automatically goes to the secondary. So lots of ways to customize this, but the main value is saving you so much time and getting all of that information as you're processing your claims, all of that money back to your practice, all here within one place within CentralReach. So that ERA list ends up being a really, really nice tool. I know our billing companies that we work with and billing individuals within practices have found so much additional time in their day because of all of the automation here within this side of the house on billing. So we have touched on a lot so far. We have talked about our dashboard. We've covered managing your contacts, those client intake forms, managing your staff as well with the document manager and those credentials. Those two HIPAA compliant messaging tools, both with the ReachMe, that instant messenger, and that kind of behind the scenes email tool. Your unlimited file storage kept HIPAA compliant. Again, from a billing and timesheet standpoint, very, very high level on that is obviously you can see we also have the ability to look at receivables, payments, reconciling payments, sales for your practice, invoicing. So lots of information on the back end here. Another thing too, again, reach out if it's something you want to look into more deeply and more detail. We do have a human resources module. So if you're managing benefits, asset tracking, time off requests, there's a lot of nice features in there as well. We talked about that claims manager, automating your claims, getting that information back here in CentralReach in real time. All of those awesome views of the schedule, managing your day-to-day, or that admin view and really wanting to see all that practice detail. Our task manager, that electronic to-do list, we touched on that as well. And then the next thing, again, if you're interested in that clinical data collection, how you'd set up those program books and set up those goals, we do have that 1 p.m. session on Thursdays with Greg Peckett, one of our BCBAs, that walks through the clinical side of the house as well. But one thing to mention a lot of people don't know about CentralReach is we do also have a learning management system. So we actually do have a marketplace of CEUs, courses, trainings, curriculum that's available. The nice thing is, again, back to that onboarding process, you can assign those to your staff and actually monitor their completion rates, their quiz scores, and manage all of their courses here in CEUs in CentralReach as well as part of managing your staff. So lots of options there. In addition, if you want to create your own courses, if you have your own content or parent training, you can create those as well and assign that out to families via that client portal. So lots of options here. Again, on the clinical side, I'd encourage you to definitely take a look at Greg's session on Thursdays. And we do have an additional really exciting tool coming out in the next coming weeks to allow our OT and speech groups to be able to carry over their notes, additional functionality, and easing the note-taking process on the speech and OT side of the house with a goal creator that's going to be released here at the end of the month. So definitely more to come on that as well. Lastly here, obviously, any reports that you need to pull, supervision reports, those specific reports can be created, whether it's your monthly, your weekly, your quarterly reports here within CentralReach. So we have definitely covered a lot today in the last 45 minutes on our walkthrough of the CentralReach practice management platform. Practice is seeing such an incredible advantage and improvement in their workflow and productivity through having all of your information, both clinical and from your billing and scheduling across your practice, all here HIPAA compliant within a single source platform of CentralReach. So thanks again.